All right, on growing pains this morning, raising charitable children with big hearts. And this morning we have Charles, Sui Sim, and their daughter, Caitlyn Tang. So Caitlyn, 11 years old, has been selling waffles for charity. Caitlyn, I got to ask you first, man. This is very inspirational. I've never done something like this. Now I want to start. I'm already 37. Is it too late for me to start, you think?
No, it's actually never too late to start. You can always, I would personally start small, but it's never actually too late to start.
You are absolutely right. Okay, well, Caitlin, earlier this year, when the MCO hit, you started selling waffles in support of an animal shelter. Now, what prompted you to start this?
I was actually pretty bored, and I was looking around the news to see when the MCO would start ending. So I found this article about dog shelters and stray shelters. They were running out of money for food and things they needed, and they couldn't support the animals too well due to the MCO. So I thought I could start selling my waffles since we recently have gotten a waffle maker and it was pretty easy and fun to make. So I thought that would have been pretty fun and it would keep me occupied during the MCO as well.
Right. So the reason was more to try and, get you out of boredom. But then you also have, affection towards animals as well. You love animals, don't you?
Yeah.
All right. And how did you get the ball rolling, though? How did you get started? Like, how much did your parents help you to set up your business or to set up this thing that you're doing?
My dad actually set up a website so I could sell my waffles. It was gotfood.com. It was really easy to put on the stuff. So if anybody really wants to use it, it's very easy to use to sell products. So I got started on that, but since nobody really knew about it, I just went on my contacts and texted all my friends, and that's how it started. I just started selling to my friends, and I started posting up posters on my social media. Follow me on Instagram at K-pop tea.
Okay, yeah, yeah. You can say you want to say it again. Go on, no worries. We can promote that website for you. You're doing good here. Go on, say it again.
I have an Instagram, so please go follow me at K-pop tea.
Is that Cake Cup? Cake.
CAITPUP_TEE.
All right, Kate Cup Tea. All right, got it. Okay, and can you tell us about the contributions you were able to make as a result of your waffle sales? Now, how did you feel knowing that you were doing something that would have such a positive impact? You're helping. You are helping actually.
At first, it actually was really small, so I thought I wouldn't help as much. But as it started growing, I started to see that everybody cared and the community actually cared about such things. So that was really fun, and it was like really cool to see how everybody decided to help me, and that was fun, and I really enjoyed it.
Fantastic. You got the customers who are good Samaritans as well. They buy from you also because of the reason you're doing it, which is to help the animal shelter. Fantastic. All right.
Customers actually tipped me, so I could give that extra to the shelters.
And you got tips too. That is good business. and
Yeah, yeah.
and also Charles and Sui Sim. Sui Sim, if I can get you closer to Caitlin so that I can see you. Yeah, while
Okay.
we're doing this. Okay, Sui Sim, Charles and Sui Sim. Look, your parents of Caitlin. You must be proud of her. Kudos must go to both of you as well for raising a truly caring child. I think she was the one who said that she read an article about this animal shelter. What were your initial reactions to Caitlin's idea to start selling waffles? Were you surprised that she had the idea?
No, because actually, if during the MCO, we get to spend a lot more time with her. Because normally we will be working, and then so with the MCO, we're working from home, so we get to spend a lot more time with her. So you get to connect with her a bit more, and we realize that she's actually really grown up now,
Yeah.
ideas, right? So then she was like, "Hey, mom and dad, I saw this article and it's really sad. I really want to help animals because normally when we drive to school, that she always sees that there's these uncles and aunties who feed the strays, but because due to the MCO, these uncles and aunties can't come out as well, so the strays just left there. So she was like, I want to do something about it. I want to help them. I'm like, okay, so what do you want to do? do you want us to like help you like to donate to these guys? And she was like, no, we're not. That's not what I meant. I want to do something, from my on my own initiative rather than getting money from you. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so I think, obviously we are very, very proud of her, and Melanie proud. When I was 11 years old, I was just worried about playing games, right?
Yeah.
People, you know what I mean? So, obviously, both of us are very, very proud of her. How it started was pretty amazing, actually. Like you said, it started pretty slowly, pretty much friends and neighbors and stuff like that. So initially, we thought we would raise 100 ringgit, 200 ringgit, and
double it up.
and we will chip in, whatever she raises, we'll chip in the same amount, so we can
Okay.
split it up and donate to the shelters.
Right.
But the generosity of all Malaysians just literally floored us. She told you about the tipping. When you say tip, you think people will tip you $1 to two
Yeah.
ringgit.
No.
Yeah, but
They
there are
actually tipped
people
us
who
like
tip us
50
like
ringgit.
pay 1,000 ringgit
Yeah.
for like 12 waffles.
Okay. Wow.
You know,
Really?
so you can imagine a lot of people are very, very generous. So in the end, we managed to raise something like 8,000 over ringgit. Something like we thought we would raise 200 ringgit, we raised 8,000 over ringgit, and
And
yeah.
her school community, previously she was in St. Christopher's,
Mm,
and her school community was fantastic as well. Her teachers, she was a prefect in school, so she had access to all the teacher emails and stuff. So that's what she did. She just emailed each and every one of them and says, hey, Mr. So and so, Miss So and so, I'm selling waffles.
Right.
I'm raising funds for the shelters. Would you like to buy from me? My parents can deliver it to you. And yeah, we were the Grab drivers.
yeah.
So,
I'll tell you one thing that's guaranteed here. People in the catering business for years, they are jealous of you. 12 cupcakes for 1,000 ringgit, all because because of the extra tips. But then again, this is for good, and like you said, Charles, there's no surprise in Malaysians helping Malaysians here.
Yeah.
It's been like this for years now. But this whole idea it all started out with Caitlyn's idea. It's like she initiated it herself, right? But
Mm.
there must be part of you in her as well. Now, what steps did you take to teach her about doing good from a young age? Like, for example, were you very conscious about setting good examples, making generosity as a family habit, talking about social causes with Caitlyn at the dinner table? Take us through that.
Yeah, so I mean, basically, we are definitely a generous family. So when we see people in need, a lot of times people will say, "Wow, these guys are in need." On our end is we can only do so much, right? But our idea is we can do so much, we do so much. You know what I mean? So whether it's small or big, we chip in where we can. So this is something that we've always, yeah. And also, I think before this, there was the Indonesian earthquake, right?
yeah.
Yeah, so Caitlin read about it and she's like, I want to raise some funds for Indonesian earthquake victims
Sulawesi.
in
Yeah.
Sulawesi earthquake, right? So
Yeah.
what she did was she started baking cookies. Obviously,
selling
we
it.
helped her to
Bake
bake
the
a lot of cookies and made an announcement in school, and all the school parents and kids and stuff like that came and bought the cookies, and from that, how much did we raise?
1,000 over.
1,000
Because
Yeah.
basically
yeah.
we didn't specify how much the cookies were.
Yeah.
We would like you just come and then you just take the cookie and just put however much you want in the donation box. So that's how we did it.
Right.
Because we were just thinking for her to be in school and having to
Give
give
change.
change and stuff like that, it's gonna be really cumbersome. So we thought, okay, no, we'll just depend on So if you want to take like 5 cookies and pay me 1 ringgit, that's fine. You
Great,
want to
yeah.
take 2 cookies and pay me 50 ringgit, that's also fine.
Yeah.
So that's how we went about it.
One person bought a cookie and they paid. One person they bought a cookie and they actually paid 100 ringgit because they
For
actually
one.
did it as
For,
well.
wow. Okay. But it sounds like this is basically what parents are supposed to do anyway, where you are hands on in teaching her good values, and it's just in going in the day to day, which is great. But Caitlin, were you influenced mostly by these efforts by your parents, or were there particular external influences as well? Like you might have been inspired by a charity event at school, or where is this coming from? Where are all these ideas coming from, Caitlin?
This is definitely mostly from my parents, but also my school was international school, so we were very focused on like the we were always watching BBC News. So then we would always see Greta Thunberg on there. And
Right.
I was also inspired by her slightly because she decided to make a change. So I thought maybe I can make a change, but not probably as big, but maybe something small to start off with.
Okay. Well, fantastic. And sorry, were you about to say something, Charles?
No, no, no. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm just nodding in appreciation.
All right. Kindness and charity stem from having empathy for others. Charles and Sui Sim, how how difficult is it to teach children to have empathy, and what's the right age to start teaching children about empathy? What do you guys think?
Well, I think there's no right age. Basically, a lot of times the kids they learn from
Yeah, absorbing
example,
whatever
right?
you do.
So it's not
Yeah.
so much. I find it's not so much what we tell
Yeah.
them;
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's what we do. The thing is, our kids actually sees and realizes what we do all the time. We may not realize it, right? But
Yeah.
they actually notice what we do. So rather than tell her to do something, when we do it, she learns automatically, right? So as such, there's no real a minimum age to start.
Yeah, I think I understand. I have a 7-year-old son, and I think that there was one day we were walking on the streets at a shop lot somewhere. There was this really old uncle who looks like he is not that well, but he's putting effort in trying to sell some crisps,
Mm,
and obviously these guys who walk around the street or selling stuff, they're not really doing it for the business, but more
yeah,
like, if people could help them a little bit by buying
yeah,
these things, right? So I walked past. Okay, Caitlin, this is sometimes I would entertain. Sometimes I would say no, thank you, and then go.
Yep.
So
yeah,
that was one of the day.
yes.
Yeah, and that was one of the day where I would say, oh no, thank you, go. But my son kind of like asked. He looked back at
Mm,
that uncle, and then he said, um he asked what was he doing, and I said he's selling something so that, because he might need a bit of money. And then he said, can we turn back and help the uncle out?
uh,
Yeah, and I think that's amazing, and I hope
Sure.
that is a reflection of me and my wife.
well done, man.
Hopefully that's
Yeah,
what we hope for.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, maybe one day I'll tell my son to meet Caitlin, and then you can start taking him too. Yeah. And now, you truly went the extra mile to help Caitlin set up her business. Some parents might feel that their kids should focus on school and homework instead of giving and doing good. Now, why did you feel it was so important to support Caitlin's endeavors?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you,
Yeah, because
yeah,
we feel that, like, let's
it's a
say you,
complete thing, right?
yeah, let's say if, I mean, to be honest, she's a good student. She's a good student. All the teachers are gonna tell you that.
All right.
So basically, I mean, you can just your grades are one thing, but that to have that extra beat in you will push you to go that
Much
further,
further,
that
right?
much further in
I mean,
life.
let's put it this way, right? Would you like someone who's very, very smart, but is an egomaniac? Or
No.
someone who's reasonably smart, but it really cares about other people? I mean, you think about how much impact you can bring to the world, especially if you are smart and you have the
able to do
heart
something
to
about
help
it.
other people.
Yeah.
You can bring a lot of impact to other people, right? It's not just all about me, 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 me.
That's true. I would disagree. When you learn something in school, all these are just subjects for you to do something, but
Mm.
then there's also the purpose of doing something as well, which should be explored. And now we're living in a world that's increasingly selfish. Sometimes we see that a lot in this world. Why is giving and generosity so important to you as a family? Or I think I'm going. First, I'm going to start with Caitlin. Why do you think is giving and generosity very important to you?
Giving and generosity, I would say it's very important because it actually brings people together. No matter how selfish that person is, you can always find that certain area in their heart where they would care about that one thing and they can help you and stuff like that. So it brings out the best in people as well instead of the worst out of people.
Fantastic answer. I don't think I'll be able to answer like that, Caitlin. You are a bright student, definitely. Charles, what do you think of this? Giving and generosity. Why is it important to you?
I think I'll just echo whatever she said, basically.
Right.
When you give, a lot of times people think when you give, you are the one losing out and the person receiving is the one getting more of it, right? But I find that when I give, I
You
feel
get
even
more
better.
joy.
So
Yeah.
it's actually in the saying that it's more blessed
Blessed
to give than
than
to
it is
receive.
to receive.
It's true, it's very true. It might sound like a cliche, but it's true.
Is that feeling that you can never describe or explain to anyone? I understand what you mean. And sorry, Sui Sim, anything to add with regards to this question?
Because it's just that when we give previously it's when I was much younger. I was nowhere like her, to be honest. you know because it's like, okay, I'm gonna I earn it and I earn my own money and I'm gonna spend it on myself. But as when I grow older, then I realized that, hey, you know what, this world actually, it's not just all about and you don't really need that much to have a good life in that sense. And when you make someone else happy, I guess when I have a child and then I realize that I'm actually giving more to her, and when you see her happy, and it's like, hey, if my child is happy and I can make other people happy as well. So that's when it started to grow, and it just blossomed in me. And that, yeah, it's true, more blessed to give than it is to receive. Yeah.
Yeah, I think just to share a little bit of the story, right? So Caitlin, even when she was like 3, 4 years old, I mean, we're pretty fortunate that we travel for holidays and stuff like that. So anytime, as when you go to any cities, you will find beggars
Baskets.
or baskets and stuff like that, right?
Right.
So Caitlin could sometimes be very slow because we'll be walking by. Every time she sees a basket or someone begging, she like stop. Dad, can I have some money? And
All
she'll go
right.
and give. And sometimes, especially the near underground stations, train stations, there are a lot of them. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
I get irritated, to be honest.
So mom is like, hey, okay, okay, Caitlin, that's enough. Let's move on, right? We've got the rest of the day to cover. But I mean, that's her, to be honest. And when we look at that, eh, our heart gets warm.
Yeah.
So it shows that we've taught her well, and she's a good girl.
Yeah, well, definitely. And both of you, Charles and Sui Sim, you guys have done well for yourselves too. Caitlin, what's next for you? Do you plan on expanding your charitable efforts? Are there other causes you're hoping to support? What do you think?
I will leave it to her to see what she has in mind. We're just basically just supporting.
Right now, I don't really know what's next, but we're actually selling in Let's Meet and Sam's Grocery if you want to go check that out.
Yeah. All right. Well, you're still going to continue the efforts that you
Yeah,
have, yeah, that you started at the moment.
that. But definitely, if on the way there's something I can help with or something I can do with a certain charitable good, I'll definitely just chip in with that.
All right. I might need a birthday cake eventually from you.
um,
All right. Charles and Sui Sim, what's your advice to parents to help them instill generosity and charitable values in their children?
Okay, I think for me, number one is to be charitable yourself, to show a good example. From that example, your kids will learn. And when you see your kids emulate or do these charitable deeds, it actually warms your heart, and it tells you and reminds you and reaffirms that you're doing something right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. So, I mean, just be a good example to your kids, right? So sometimes, like, you don't know what they're picking up from you. Okay, this is a funny story that I'm gonna share.
Sure.
Like when she was like 2 or 2.5, we were traveling along the North-South Highway heading towards KL, right? So both Charles and I, we aren't angels, to be honest. We
Yeah.
swear as well.
So, yes.
Right. So then we were heading down towards North-South Highway, and then there was a car that cut in, right? And then we were in shock, and Charles had to do an emergency maneuver, and Caitlin, and then none of us spoke anything, but we heard the word F, and then we were like, and then I looked at Charles, and Charles looked at me, and we were like, what the F? And then we turned, and then we saw Caitlin, and we were like, did that come from you?
2 years old, okay?
Yeah.
2 years old. So whoever thinks that your kid is too young to
Learn anything?
they are absorbing everything. So now
Yeah.
obviously we try
To be more mindful.
to be more mindful of how we speak.
Yeah, I know what you mean, man. Those words might just pop out of children's mouth. You know what I mean? And okay, so just before we end, many parents, even when growing up, they would hope that their child would become so and so professional, a doctor, a lawyer, a pilot, and things like that. And I'm sure for you, it's more than just that. What are your hopes for Caitlin as she grows up?
Well, my hope for Caitlin is she chooses what she likes to do, what she has a passion for, right, and goes for it.
Money.
Because the thing is, Obviously we are all typical Asians, right? So when I was
Yeah.
growing up, yeah, my parents asked me to be an engineer. So I said, oh, I become an engineer. Then
Okay.
when I sort of went through halfway of my engineering degree, I
Mhm.
decided no, I want to change something else to become an entrepreneur, right?
All right. Yeah.
So I realized it's not so much what we want her to be. It doesn't matter, to be honest. I'd rather she choose what she wants to be,
And
and
hopefully
just
it earns a good amount of money.
yeah, well, hope
Sorry,
earn
what
a
did you
decent
say,
amount.
Caitlin? Sorry, could you repeat that?
And hope it gets a good amount of money for
All
us.
right.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
money's not bad. It's good. It's
yeah.
what you do with it, I think.
Yes,
That's right.
with money, then you can use to chip in and to help things you want, right? So if you're not if you don't have enough, it's hard to help other people. You know what I mean? So that's the main thing. So basically, I just want her to choose whatever she wants to do, she likes to do, as a heart for,
Yeah.
and pursue it with all the heart.
Yeah, because basically, like even we're studying, we don't go say, hey, you need to get an A star, you need to get an A or what have you. But basically, it's like, okay, you have to do your best, and so with that, she has that attitude of like always pushing, pushing, and pushing, and so it comes naturally. So yeah, so that's the good part. I think parents should just stop obsessing with having to meddle or having to think for their kids because most times actually they can think way more than we give them credit for.
Yeah.